taken out their leadership times 2 or 3, might be 3. Attacked Karg Island, and we left just the one little area standing. We are talking to other countries about working with us on the policing of the strait. We're always there for NATO. We're helping them with Ukraine. As many, it's got an ocean in between us. It doesn't affect us, but we've helped them. It'd be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor. They use AI. They said they attacked the USS Abraham Lincoln, one of the largest ships in the world, an aircraft carrier. And they show pictures of it burning. It was never attacked, it was never burning. They put out phony stories, the kamikaze boats. The kamikaze boats don't exist. They're fake. So we have a lot of things to talk about, but there's not much I can say to you about them. So one of those little problems in life. We had some very good results today, as you probably heard, in Iran. Very strong results militarily. We're talking to countries about policing the straits, because they are the ones, we don't get oil, very little, 1%, 2%. China, as an example, gets about 90% of its oil from the Hormuz Strait. And nice to have other countries police that with us. And we'll help, we'll work with them. Militarily, as far as I'm concerned, we've essentially defeated Iran. I guess they can have a little bit of fight back, but not much. Not much. We've taken out their air forces, we've taken out their navy. We've taken out their air defense. There's no air defense whatsoever. We've taken out their leadership times 2 or 3. Might be 3. We'll find out soon. But militarily, it's been amazing. We attacked Karg Island, and we left just the one little area standing, and the standing part is where they have the pipes, all the oil pipes come in. And we can do that on 5 minutes notice. We have it all locked and loaded and ready to go if we want to do it. But we chose not to do it. I chose not to do it yet. We'll see what happens. They want to negotiate. They want to negotiate badly. I don't think they're ready. Just on what I'm hearing. They want to negotiate badly, as they should. But I don't think they're ready to do what they have to do. But I think they will be ready at some point. But we're doing very well with respect to that whole situation in Iran. We are talking to other countries about working with us on the policing of the strait. And I think we're getting good response. If we do, that's great. And if we don't, that's great too. Remember, like as an example, in many cases, they're NATO countries. We're always there for NATO. We're helping them with Ukraine. As many, it's got an ocean in between us. It doesn't affect us, but we've helped them. It'd be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor, which is just keeping the strait open. That, by comparison, it's small because Iran has very little firepower left. Their missiles are down to a low number. You see, they're shooting very few of them. You know why? Because they don't have very many of them. And because we've decimated their manufacturing capability. Likewise, the drones are way down. They're down to about 20% of what they had. Still have some. And they're pretty tough. But the drones are down, and we're starting hitting, as of yesterday, we're hitting places where they manufacture the drones. We think most of which we know where they are. So it's a very strong military operation, just as it was in Venezuela. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world by far, not even a contest. And I think people understand that. And we will finish the job.
Mr. President, which countries have said that they will help?
Well, I can't say yet. It's a little early. We contacted today and last night. But we've had some positive response. We had a few that would rather not get involved.
Is China one of them?
I don't want to tell you about that. I mean, I can't really say for sure, but China's an interesting case study. They get most of their oil, as you know, by far. They get a lot, about 90% of the strait. So I said, would you like to come in and we'll find out. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. You know, there's some other deeper reasons why they may not. They should come in my opinion. It never made sense for years. If you go back and look at what I've said years ago, I said, why are we maintaining the Hormuz Strait when it's really there for China and many other countries? Why aren't they doing it? And that's because we had weak leadership, to be honest with you. But I'm bringing it up now because I think even long term, I think it's something that other countries should help us with.
How many other countries, Mr. President?
And again, remember this is about 7. We're talking about 7. Just remember that it's something that we don't need, and these countries do need. And yet for years, it's like, for years we've been maintaining it, doing a great job. And now that the war is, now that they've been diminished in terms of military, their military has been greatly diminished. I think it's a good thing for other countries to come in. Now, it would have been nice, as I said to the Prime Minister of the UK, who sort of was reluctant to put his 2 aircraft carriers into harm's way. That would be 2 weeks ago. And as soon as we demolished, essentially, pretty much demolished them, not over yet, but pretty much we're in great shape, let's put it that way, as everybody knows. He said, we'd like to send our aircraft carriers. I said, I don't want them after we win the war. I want them before we start the war. So whether we get support or not, but I can say this, and I said it to them, we will remember.
How soon, sir, did this begin?
Well, it started immediately, but it will take a little time to get here. Some of the countries have minesweepers, that's good. Some of the countries have a certain type of boat that could help us. Some of the countries would be, helpful. Remember, it only takes a couple of people to screw up the strait, a couple of terrorists. You don't need their military is defeated, but all you need is a few people dropping mines here and there, and you louse it up. So we need. I would really, I'm demanding that these countries come in and protect their own territory because it is their territory. It's the place from which they get their energy, and they should come and they should help us protect it. You could make the case that maybe we shouldn't even be there at all because we don't need it. We have a lot of oil. We're the #1 producer anywhere in the world times 2, by double, at least double. Now I think it's much higher than that. But we do it. It's almost like we do it for habit. But we also do it for some very good allies that we have in the Middle East.
So you mentioned that Iran wants to make a deal. However, earlier today we heard their foreign minister say they never said they wanted to make a deal, that they'll do whatever they can to defend Iran.
What they tell you and what they tell the public, I just put out a truth about their disinformation. I assume most of you saw. And they used AI. They said they attacked the USS Abraham Lincoln, one of the largest ships in the world, an aircraft carrier, and they show pictures of it burning. It was never attacked, it was never burning. The Wall Street Journal put out a false story that 5 of our big, beautiful tankers that we feed the planes with, to give the planes the gas, jet fuel, hundreds of thousands of gallons of gasoline, that they were all essentially destroyed. They weren't destroyed at all. In fact, 4 of them were not even, literally were not damaged. And 1 of them has slight damage and will be back in the air soon. But if you read the Wall Street Journal, it's like they were totally decimated and destroyed, like Iran has been. So they put out phony stories. The kamikaze boats. The kamikaze boats don't exist. They're fake. And you can almost see that when you look at them. It looks great, yeah. Because if they did exist, we'd hit them just like we hit other boats all over the place. But they don't exist. In fact, some of the people say, where are the boats? Well, how come nobody's seen the boats? You know why? Because it's AI generated. It's fake. And I didn't realize this before that we started, But Iran is known for a lot of fake news, and they deal with our fake news. And I actually think it's pretty criminal because our media companies, who have no credibility whatsoever, are putting out information that they know is false, and it's a very dangerous thing for the country. I think they could be in serious jeopardy.
Your PAC put out a fundraising email a couple of days ago, and it's being criticized for using official White House photos of you at the dignified transfer. And the PAC is also promising access to secret.
Well, I was at the dignified transfer, unlike a lot of other people.
Appropriate email to send. Your critics are saying that you're fundraising.
I didn't see it. I mean, somebody puts it up. We have a lot of people working for us, but there's nobody that's better to the military than me. And all you have to do is look at the election, look at the election results, look at the kind of votes that we get, look at the poll numbers. There's nobody that's ever been higher as a president than me with the military.
Can you give a comment on the 6 dead soldiers? ABC News.
One of the worst, most fake, most corrupt.
Can you give a comment on the dead
You know what
soldiers?
ABC News? I think it's maybe the most corrupt news organizations on the planet. I think they're terrible. Okay, I don't want any more from ABC.
Right here.
What's your much better?
Thank you, sir. What's Israel doing to help secure the Strait of Hormuz?
They're working with us. A relationship with Israel, that was other fake news. They were saying, oh, did I have an argument with Bibi? No, we really get along well. And he would tell you we're leading the whole thing. And I don't, you can say it or not say it, it doesn't matter. The main thing is to get it done. But my relationship with Bibi Netanyahu is, I would say, extraordinary, actually.
Go ahead. When you called for the people of Iran to rise up for their government, what's going on there? They haven't done that. You expect them to.
You're dealing with thugs. You're dealing with horrible people. You're dealing with people that are violent and vicious. And that's the leadership and the people right under them, their military or their police. And they've notified everybody, and they put out statements that if you protest, you're going to be shot and killed. The protesters have no guns. And I know you're a brave person, but I don't think you'd be protesting. And so I think it's very hard for them to protest. I fully understand it. They said, if you protest, you will be killed. A week ago and 2 weeks ago, they killed 32,000 protesters, at least. We think the number's much higher than that. They shot and killed 32,000 protesters who were greatly enthusiastic and want to see a change because they've destroyed the country. The people that are running have destroyed the country. But think of it, they shot and killed much more than 32,000 people. Now they put out a notice 2 days ago that we're going to shoot and kill any protester. And they don't have guns, meaning the protesters. They have no guns. So I can fully understand why they're not doing it. Oh, one other thing that was AI generated. They showed about 250,000 people in a square saying how much they love Khomeini. Totally AI generated. It never took place. The media knew it didn't take place, but they built it up like they have great support. They don't have support. And that whole rally that they had 4 days ago, that they said was fake. It was AI generated. AI can be very dangerous. We have to be very careful with it. But the rally, because I was actually surprised to see, because I know how much the people hate this leadership. This leadership has destroyed the country. The rally that everybody, including ABC fake news, your network is the worst. But everybody put that rally on. Like, oh, and even I was surprised. I looked. It turned out, I found out today, it was a totally AI-generated fake news story put out by news organizations in the U.S. and elsewhere. And honestly, they really shouldn't be allowed to do it.
Mr. President, are there any diplomatic talks going on between the U.S. and Iran at all right now?
We're talking to them.
What are the
But I don't think they're ready. But they're getting pretty close.
Are there even China about this?
I don't know that I want to make a deal. Because you know what? First of all, nobody even knows who you're dealing with. Because most of their leadership has been killed, as you know, right? So I don't even know that we want to make a deal.
You mentioned that Iran's
But they want to make a deal badly, yes.
You mentioned that Iran's military military has been decimated
Yeah.
economically in other ways. Are you ready to officially declare victory?
No, I don't want to do that. There's no reason to. I think I just say they're decimated, but I wouldn't do that. I think that we've done damage to them right now. If we left right now, it would take them 10 years and more to rebuild. But I'm still not declaring it over. Our military is incredible. The job they've done is just incredible. And the problem is that when you look at fake stories written by you people, written by and generated by AI, it's incredible. And I just wonder, like Jeff, you know that these are fake stories. Did you know that the rally of 250,000 people, the supposed rally, was fake? Did you know that?
I saw the reporting on it.
But you wrote about it. You talked about it, and you knew it was fake. It was AI generated.
No, I didn't know.
You did. You knew it. You knew it.
Sir, have you talked about
Anybody that knew the country knew there's not 250,000 people willing to stand in a circle and say how great Khomeini is. Okay. So,
Are you unhappy that
You talk about the military objectives.
Yeah.
What about political leadership in Iran? What type of leadership?
we have
needs to be-
people, some are dead, but we have some people that we think would be good, and we will see about that.
Is that
It's something we talk about. See what happens.
Sir, have you talked about selling oil futures?
5,000 Marines and sailors. Can you say
You're
why
a
you're
very obnoxious person. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I wanted to ask if you talked about selling oil futures as a way of capping prices, trying to keep prices down at the pump.
The prices are going to come tumbling down as soon as it's over, and it's going to be over pretty quickly.
Do you have any concerns about the political impacts of this? I mean,
I have to do what's right. You know, political, I'm sure everybody has concern. I have to do what's right. I can't say that, you know, gee, I don't want to have any impact on oil prices for 3 or 4 weeks or 2 months, and we're going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon and blow up the entire Middle East and beyond, right? Because, you know, they were going to blow up the Middle East. If I didn't terminate the Obama horrible deal, the Iran nuclear deal it's called, if I didn't terminate that in my first term, they would have already had a nuclear weapon, and they would have used it immediately upon getting it. And if I didn't send in the B-2 bombers to bomb the hell out of it and obliterate, and that's what it was, we obliterated that site and stopped all their potential nuclear. If I didn't do that, you would have had Israel and the Middle East hit by nuclear weapons. And we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
You have your Iran.
What I did in terminating the Iran nuclear deal, and what I did in sending in the B-2 bombers, it was one of the most incredible attacks anyone's ever seen. Late at night, dark, no moon, and every single bomb went right down those chutes and blew the whole place apart. If I didn't do that, you would have had nuclear warfare in the Middle East, and I think Israel would have been obliterated. I think lots of the Middle East would have been. And you saw that when they sent thousands of missiles to countries that didn't expect anything. They didn't think they were going to be involved. And yet you look at what happened with Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. You take a look at Qatar. I mean, they sort of got along. And all of a sudden they're being barraged by missiles. These people would have used nuclear on the entire Middle East. And that was their plan, take over the whole Middle East. And it failed with the nuclear. And then they had thousands of missiles. And for the most part, largely, we've now destroyed those missiles. Thank you very much, everybody.
One other
Thank
topic.
you.
Can you tell us about Cuba?
Yeah.
You're talking to Cuba. What do you want to hear from them, and
Well,
what is that risk for them?
I am holding Cuba. Cuba's a failed nation. Cuba also wants to make a deal. And I think we will pretty soon, or either make a deal or do whatever we have to do. We have a lot of great people that happen to vote for Trump. Not that that matters, but we have a lot of great people from Cuba that were violently and viciously thrown out of the country, and worse, their families were killed. And so we're talking to Cuba, but we're going to do Iran before Cuba.
And what is at risk?
And you know,
for
people
Cuba?
have been waiting 50 years to hear this story with Cuba. And when I left Palm Beach today, there were thousands of people on the road. I'm sure you saw them. And they were from Cuba and from Venezuela, all friendly, waving the flag and waving the American flag. they've been waiting 50 years for what's happening with Cuba. So I think something will happen with Cuba pretty quickly.
Do you
Yeah,
know
but when
the
you-
the Iran school strike? Is it looking more likely that it was the U.S.'s fault? Maybe the Iran school strike that happened on the first day of the war?
We don't know. That's under investigation.
Mr. President, what do you want to see in a deal with Iran to end the war, and how does that differ from Israel's objectives?
I think, I think we have similar objectives, really, but could be a little bit different. They're there and we're very far away, but I think we probably have pretty similar with Israel. The relationship has been very good. The militaries are very well coordinated. Ours is the strongest by far in the world, and they have a real good military, really good. They have a lot of our weapons. They have our planes. They have our missiles. They have our Patriots. They have a lot of our weapons. We have the best. We make the best weapons in the world. And now what we're doing, as you probably saw, we have the Raytheon and all of the Lockheed. All of these companies are now building plants because we don't want to wait. We make the best weapons, but we don't like to have to wait for them. What we do have, though, is at a very high level, we have unlimited weapons at a medium to high level. And they're really doing the trick. And we're not using they call it the elite weapons, because frankly, they haven't, outside of the original attack, they haven't been necessary.
So
But these companies are building facilities, and they've already started all over many of them are building many buildings right now to make so that we wait 2 weeks instead of 2 years for weapons.
So
And
last
what
week
do
you
you
said
want?
that we're nowhere near sending ground troops to the Middle East. We still
I
have
don't talk to
situation.
people like you about that. I mean, why would I tell you I'm sending or not sending? I don't talk about a military strategy. Who would talk about it? I mean, who would answer a question like that?
Do you have a comment on the 6 service members who passed last week?
Who else said?
So, what do you want to see in the deal? Because earlier you said reportedly that.
Well, you start off with there will be no nuclear weapons. That's where it starts. And then on top of that, there's plenty of things that we're going to get. Thank you very much, everybody.